Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I got kind of probably a little scattered video I want to do today, but at the beginning of the week I was doing a couple photo shoots for some different restaurants. I've been doing a lot of that lately, and as I was doing it, it kind of crossed my mind, maybe I should kind of talk about that a little bit, because I know there's a lot of people that ask me about lighting, and they say that's the weaker area of their skill set, if you will. So they say things to me like, I really want to get better at lighting, or they ask me, how do you do this or that? And so as I was doing this food shoot for these restaurants, I thought I'm going to do a little simple video kind of explaining how I do food photography. Not at a very high level, because I've done some of those shoots as well, but these particular jobs are for a company that I've got connected with that sends me to these different restaurants. And the advertising is for DoorDash and Uber Eats and things like that. So they're pretty simple, straightforward, documentary almost, if you will, food shots for their simple online advertising. So they're not the greatest shots in the world, but at the same time, you want them to be lit well and look appetizing and all that kind of thing. So usually when I do these jobs, I go in, I set up a little area somewhere in the restaurant, couple of lights, as you'll see, I set up, and we do about 15 photographs maybe in an hour's time, so there's not a lot of time spent with it. They're pretty straightforward, get it done, but they need to look beautiful. And you know, one of the tricks to food photography is if they make you hungry, then you did your job right. Now, one thing that's true when you go on location is the amount of equipment that you bring is a big deal, because you got to schlep it in, you got to schlep it out, and I'm always doing these jobs by myself. I don't have an assistant with me or anything, so I'm carrying everything in, carrying it all back out. So I want to minimize the amount of equipment I have, but at the same time take the equipment that I need. So let me show you what I take. Usually it's 2 trips in from the car. I haven't had to do more than that usually, but let me show you what I bring. Okay, so the first thing is 2 light stands, pretty simple. My camera bag. In my camera bag I've got the camera itself, 16 to 80 millimeter lens. I do all the food photography with that. I have 3 lights in here. I've got my 80, 100, and 2 V1s. This is the little kit for those lights that you can do barn doors and diffusion. But the camera bag is pretty simple. I've got a second box over here. As you can see, I've got a tablecloth. This box has clamps, napkins. These napkins kind of prop some things, but I've got clamps and I've got different things in there. I take this one soft box. It's got the bracket on it already. And then a big deal that I bring is this little stool, because for a lot of the images, I end up standing on the stool looking down. And that comes in very handy. I could stand on a chair or something like that, but I'm always a little leery of standing on the restaurant's furniture. I just think that probably looks a little tacky. So that's a pretty simple setup, not a lot to bring in, and we can get the job done. So usually when I come into a restaurant, I pick a table off in the corner, out of everybody's way. That way I'm not infringing on anything else that's going on in the restaurant. Once I get things set up, they will bring me plate after plate after plate, and we just kind of run through it. Works out really, really pretty well. But I'm going to do a very simple setup like I would do in a restaurant here on this table, here in the studio, show you how I do it. I don't have a very fabulous plate of food, but we'll bring in a little bit of food. I'm going to make a sandwich and some chips, and we'll bring that in, set it out there, and take the shot here in the studio. But my big deal today is I just kind of want to show you how I light it, get it set up, and manage that. Okay, so here's my basic setup. My softbox is over here. This is going to act as the fill light. This light over here is going to act as my main light. The shadows are going to be cast from this guy. The trick to this whole thing is getting the ratio correct between the 2 lights. How much more powerful does that one need to be over this? That's something that I'm going to play with as I get something on set and start shooting. When I do these fast restaurant jobs, I never bring a tripod. I'm going to hand hold the camera. The entire thing's going to be lit by strobes. There's going to be no ambient light affecting the scene, so hand holding it is not a problem. If it was a bigger restaurant shoot, which I've done some of those as well, where we're shooting for their menu or for some higher end advertising, then I would probably bring in some kind of tripod or stand or something, because those are the kind of jobs where we're going to take one shot and then art direct it to death and make all kinds of changes, and it's nice to just be able to take another shot exactly in the same spot. In this case, that's not really what I'm doing on these faster restaurant shoots on location. So I hope that makes some sense. But if you got questions, let me know for sure. But I'm going to throw out my plate of food that I just made a little sandwich and some chips. It's going to be simple. But don't judge me by the lack of an attractive plate of food. One of the tricks to good food photography is who prepares the food and who styles the food. And usually on these jobs, these cooks and chefs and people that are making the food, a lot of times it's the owner, because some of these places are small mom and pop places. They know it's for their advertising and they make it look good. So that's a big part of food photography, is just the preparation. But I'm going to put my plate of food out there, take a couple of test shots, make sure I've got the ratios between the lights correct, and make sure we're on track for that, and then we'll get some final images. Okay, so once I get the ratio set up the way I like it, and I like the way the lighting is going, these restaurants will always have something to prop the shot with. So, no matter how simple it is, so usually if they've got a soda or something, I'll put that in there. Some salt and pepper maybe, something like that. Where's my napkin? I always bring a napkin. I've got a couple different colors, and I can do something that simple. If it's the right kind of food, maybe a fork and a knife or something like that. Actually, the other thing I'll do, if they don't sell soda, they're gonna have a glass of water or something like that for sure. So I'm gonna put that in here. Little straw. I've got some props. All the restaurants are going to have something like that. Prop it and then take the final shot. If you want to take it to the next step, you can bring some fill cards or maybe a mirror and bounce some light around and control it just a little bit more if you want. I do have that stuff in my bag in case I run into an issue where I really, really need it. But for the most part with these, they're not high volume, but when you're doing a bunch of different shots in a short period of time, I try to keep it as simple as I possibly can. The other thing that's going to happen is they may bring out a plate of food that is very light and airy. I'm trying to think like my sandwich, for instance, on white bread is, very light and airy. And then the next item that they bring out might be very dark. So, you know, it varies, and you're going to have a set and a lighting setup that is conducive with whatever they bring out. So, like I said, I try to keep it simple so that I can, you know, power through, you know, 15 to 20 shots, which is normally what we do at these little jobs. So, there you have it. Pretty simple 2-light setup. Obviously, my V1 is just nothing more than a speed light, so you can do this with a pretty simple setup. I do choose to take things that are battery powered because you never know where there's going to be some outlets or maybe no outlets at all. So I don't rely on anything that I've got to plug in. Yeah, so there you have it. My simple lighting setup for some simple food shoot photography that I've been doing a lot of lately. And it's a good little gig. Plus, a lot of times they send you home with food, so you can't beat that. I'll show you a few as we kind of end here. And if you got questions, by all means, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video.